Welcome to the Strength for the Day podcast, which is a daily Bible study with Dennis Fountain. We hope this time together will be challenging, sharpening, uplifting, encouraging, and strengthening to your Christian walk. Thank you for joining us, and we pray you are helped through today's study.
Well, good morning, and welcome back to Strength for the Day and our next episode in this series that we are currently in, just walking with Jesus, going through this chronological study of the life of Christ. And we come this morning to Matthew chapter number 23, and verse number 14. Now, remember, Jesus has been in a conversation with the Pharisees and the Sadducees and the Sanhedrin, the religious elite, and really calling them out and exposing them for being what they were, frauds. They were fake. They had the outward appearance of religion, but their heart was far away from the Lord. And so we're just kind of working our way through this passage where Jesus, after having just exposed the Pharisees and the religious elite for who they were, now he turns to his followers as well as those listening, and he tries to instruct them. He wants to instruct them to be aware of the Pharisees, and then he begins to cry out the woes to the Pharisees. This is judgment to you. You are going to be judged for this. And we finished off yesterday, or our previous episode, in verse number 13 of Matthew 23. We come today to verse number 14, where he says this: "Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees and hypocrites, because you devour widows' houses, and for a pretense make long prayers. Therefore you will receive greater condemnation." So what he gets at here in these verses, he says there's judgment coming to you because you devour widows' houses, and for a pretense you make long prayers. Two accusations that he makes here. Number one, the idea of devouring widows' houses. What does this mean? Well, what he's pointing out here is the fact that many times the Pharisees, the religious elite, instead of helping those who are in the most need, remember the book of James said that a pure religion and something that is showing forth a true relationship with the Lord is going to be to minister to those who are really in need, to those who are widows and the orphans, the fatherless. And James does this, he begins to speak truth that the basic principle to identify or show that we have truly been impacted by the gospel is to reach out and minister to and help those who are clearly in need. So Jesus, in our passage in Matthew, he says there is judgment coming because instead of ministering to those who are in need, you are taking advantage of them. He says there, you devour widows' houses. So the idea is instead of investing and helping, you are taking advantage of those who are in need. And then the second accusation that he gives there, I just did three, but the second accusation that he does there is, "And for a pretense make long prayers." Jesus has already spoken to this multiple times, but the religious elite many times would make these audible, boisterous prayers to be seen and to be heard of men. Remember in Matthew chapter number 6, as Jesus is preaching that Sermon on the Mount, when he speaks against this, he says, when you pray, as a disciple of Jesus, when you pray, don't pray out loud for people to hear you. Instead, enter into your closet or enter into that secret place and then pray to your Father in secret. And your Father who sees in secret will reward you openly. So Jesus, in this verse, he's saying to the religious elite, these Pharisees, to these hypocrites, number one, you are taking advantage of those who are in need. And number two, you have this fake facade of a relationship with God that is not there. For the appearance of others, you make long prayers. You know, the challenge that I receive from this, I believe, can be many different applications, but twofold. Number one is sometimes, as a follower of Jesus, we forget that one of our identifying marks, one of the ways to truly show that we are a follower of Jesus is to minister and serve those in need, regardless of what we might receive back. And the religion is not the appearance of religion by boisterous prayers. So the idea, I think one simple way to look at this is they were desiring to appear religious, but their actions were completely contrary to what pure religion or pure relationship would be. You see, they were not ministering and instead having this boisterous prayer. And here's what Jesus says to them: there's judgment coming to you. So for you and for me, I need to step back and I need to ask myself, am I just trying to appear religious, or am I actually meeting the needs and stepping forward and allowing my actions to prove my relationship with God? A lot of people want to boisterously proclaim that they're religious or boisterously proclaim that they have religion with God. They did it through outward prayers. A lot of Christians today do it through times in their life when they want to talk about how much they do or how much they give or how much they serve, but their actions don't minister to those who are truly in need. May we be warned against, and this is the whole context of this entire passage, may we be warned against having just an outward appearance with an inward, really an inward defilement. Notice the Lord continues in verse number 15. He says this: "Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for you travel land and sea to win one proselyte. And when he is won, you make him twice as much a son of hell as yourselves." The religious elite were parading around in their own self-righteousness, winning people to themselves. They were winning their own followers and causing people, I mean, this is what Jesus said multiple times in the next few verses. He says this to them as well, but many times the Pharisees were winning someone to themselves, and all the while they were just creating somebody who was following religious actions, not a heart of fellowship in the Lord. That convert would usually become one who would show more zeal than their leader and have less knowledge than their leader. They were only producing people who had the outward actions and didn't have the inward love. And you say, Pastor, these thoughts really go together. They totally do. This whole passage goes together, of having an outward appearance of religion and yet the inward is far away. But I want us to understand that while these go together, there are some specific applications that we should walk away with. And in verse 15, I believe the specific application is not winning people to us and our testimony, but using our testimony to win people to God. We spoke about that in yesterday's episode in verse 13, when he said, "You shut up the kingdom of heaven against men, for you neither go in yourselves, nor do you allow those who are entering to go in." They had the key of knowledge, remember, but they weren't bringing people to the Lord. You know, what a Christian often does is we want people to be impressed by our religiosity rather than reached by a relationship with the Lord. And so today, as we look at these two verses, and I want to continue, but verse 16 down through verse number 22 actually all go together, and so we will look at those tomorrow. But today, I want to really just ask you, when it comes to serving and ministering and investing in those who are in need, do I really do that? Or am I one like them, where I take advantage of people and I only give depending upon what people can give back? That's what they were doing with the widows' houses. They were only meeting the needs of those who could really help them. Sometimes that's my approach in my relationships. I only get close if they'll help me. I'm very transactional in my relationship. And then the other thought I believe that we should walk away with this morning is understanding that as I live every day, I should desire to point people to Jesus, not to me. Point people to Jesus, not to me. So let me ask you today, When you look at your relationship with God, is it just an outward show, outward prayer, outward actions, or is there a heart that says, no, I love the Lord, and I'm going to show it by how I treat others. I love the Lord, and I'm going to show it by pointing people to Jesus and not just to me. Hope that'd be a help to you. Tomorrow we will pick back up in verse 16 down through verse number 22. Have an incredible day.